So here we go, guys. Plarium responded regarding the Mythical Faction Guardian update, and it has officially been delayed, not cancelled, delayed. I saw a lot of people, celebrating it, and at a first glance, that sounds like a win for the community. Players pushed back, Plarium kind of listened, and the update postponed. But did they actually listen? Because after reading the community reaction, I think the situation is not really better than before. It's just delayed, okay? They just basically said, get used to it. It's coming anyway. So here's what they said. This is the official statement. And they said they've been following the feedback. They understand the player concerns. And after reviewing everything, they've decided to postpone Mythical Faction Guardians, but there's one very important detail here, like already mentioned. They did not cancel the feature. Okay, so this specifically said Mythical Faction Guardians remain part of their long-term plans and are expected to arrive in 2027. Now, I don't know if early or late 2027. That's something we have to, find out ourselves, I guess, when the time comes. But basically, the message isn't we changed our minds. The message is not now, later, okay? And this is why me personally, I'm not really satisfied. Like, I don't think anything is fixed because for many people, the issue was never just the timing. The issue was the direction the game is going. That was kind of like the biggest criticism there, because Mythical Faction Guardians represent more power creep, more stat inflation. We already have an insane amount of power creep with relics, blessings, mythical champions themselves, and the new champions overall. More advantage for top spenders. And I also saw a lot of people saying, like, why does it matter? I'm losing to them anyway. Yes, maybe, okay, but there's now a big difference. Like, once the Mythical Faction Guardians get introduced, there will be a big difference between spenders. Okay, now there are layers between spenders, like even a bigger gap between those that have all the mythicals dozen of times and the other ones that have them maybe like 2 or 3 times. Okay, so there will be a huge gap now too, and for you it's going to be even harder to do anything against them as well, right? So it's not helping anybody. There are maybe like 100 people that will be able to fill up the Faction Guardians in 2027. That's what my expectations are, or what I'm guessing. So I'm wondering why even introduce this when nobody really asked for it. This came out of nowhere, right? They never mentioned this before. I think they also said, or some people say, at some point they said Mythical Faction Guardians are never going to come to the game, never going to be introduced. I'm not quite sure if this is actually true, but if you know, let me know in the comments below. So I'm wondering why they would throw this in there out of nowhere, right? Like, it's such a weird timing. So while it only would benefit around 100 players, right? Why don't we do things that would benefit everybody, right? Like, I mean, they do, right? We have login champions and stuff like that, but the top 100 spenders are also included in that, right? So this would be a downside. Mythical Faction Guardians would be a downside for everyone else, right? So I don't get the idea of it, and I think it's bad for the game. As I said, for free-to-play players, mostly irrelevant. Low spenders, still mostly irrelevant. Many whales, it's difficult to fill they will be struggling to fill Faction Guardians, but they will notice a huge difference when facing those Krakens that can fill up the Faction Guardians, right? So there's now a stat gap between the spenders, the whales and the Krakens. And this is why a lot of spenders are thinking about quitting right now. This is a fact, right? And I have to be honest too. The thought also came to my mind because I was like, damn, I'm never going to be able to do anything against those guys, right? Or my chance is getting even lower now, right? So I can totally understand if people feel like this. And a lot of people are messaging me what I thought about this, right? Even before I did my first video on this topic. And we're saying, "Hey, man, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about quitting right now. I don't really want to play anymore because I don't like the way or the direction this game is taking, and I'm thinking about quitting. And I'm gonna take a week off." And I actually have a message right here. This is also one of our clan members. So this is the message that he sent. "Okay, well, boys, the previous announcement of Mythical Faction Guardians had me considering quitting, as I am not happy with the direction and choices Plarium is steering the game. With the announcement today, I realized I was actually kind of looking forward to break or quitting. That kind of put it into perspective, so for now, I'm going to take a week off from the game to see how I feel about it." And this is kind of sad to see because this is this was a whale and a half, basically, or is a whale and a half. And I get a lot of messages like this lately. Around like 10 people said the same thing when this announcement was made. And it caught my attention, right? And it makes you think. Like, it makes you think how many people are actually quitting the game over this, right? So obviously a lot of people are thinking about it a lot, right? Like, especially if you're an end game player, then you think about it more because when you're just starting out, everything is fresh, everything is new, you're progressing. But once you beat the game, it becomes very repetitive, and then a lot of players quit, obviously. But at the same time, when you have people like this coming out of nowhere because of an announcement, and it kind of gives them the spark of the thought to quit, and then they actually follow up, right? So kind of interesting to see. And that sounds like burnout, right? Like, there's a huge difference. Angry players often stay. They get angry about something, but then they stay and just keep on playing anyway. But burned out players often leave, and they're not returning most of the time. Especially because this wasn't some random casual player. This was a spender, right? And spenders are extremely important to games like this. But I don't think Mythical Faction Guardians alone are making people quit. I think this was the tipping point, right? Because the frustration was building for a while. And that's the thing with games like this. It's like a barrel without bottom, right? If you don't keep spending, you're not gonna stay relevant. You're not, if you don't get the new champions, the cool new champions, to keep up with everybody else, you kind of are at a disadvantage. So you got to keep spending to stay relevant if you want to compete. And we have noticed an increased monetization over time, right? Because when I started playing Raid, that was in 2019, there were only 3 types of shards, right? So, or like 4, basically. Mysteries, Ancients, Voids, and Sacred Shards, okay? And the best thing were the Void Shards, because most of the time the Void Legendaries were the best ones. Then at some point the Mythical Champions got introduced. That's when we also get Blessings and stuff like that. So over time there was just more stuff that you have to get to stay competitive, right? You had to have the Mythicals, you have to have the Void Legendaries, you have to have the Relics, the 6-star Blessings. And back then it was only the champions, all right? So now we have like 5 things that we have to get to be able to compete. So there's a constant pressure to keep up. But like I already said in the first video, I have to be fair. I have to understand, or I do understand, that top spenders need goals, right? I understand why they want this feature. Many Krakens already own most Mythicals. But there are also a lot of Krakens that criticize this feature, because they already empowered tons of them, okay? I don't know why, but maybe to save space, or I don't know the reason, but they did, and they have no way to unempower them, which is, by the way, a feature that should be in the game anyway. I have so many empowered champions that I would love to unempower, and it's not Mythicals. But yeah, it creates a monetization problem. Why buy more Primals if duplicate Mythicals have limited value? And Mythical Faction Guardians kind of solved that issue, right? suddenly the duplicates matter. And it was the same thing with legendary champions, but I have to say I still don't, I still don't like the idea of it, because I love the fact that the legendary champions have that advantage over mythicals. But yeah, business logic and player sentiment aren't always aligned, right? And that's the conflict. So yeah, personally, I think it is not the right move to introduce mythical faction guardians for the game. Maybe there can be something else to do with dupes, with mythical dupes, that wouldn't be that impactful to the overall balance. But I also think the community isn't just reacting to this one feature. They're reacting to a broader fear about where raid is going. And that fear doesn't disappear because of a delay. But I want to hear from you, so let me know in the comments below. Did Plarium make the right decision? Does delaying Mythical Faction Guardians restore your confidence, or do you still feel concerned about raid's direction? Let me know in the comments below. Also, like and subscribe as always. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube's gonna think that you like this one as well. Take care and see you in the next one.